Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hello.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Whatever. I realized I was wearing the same jacket in yesterday's podcast, and I wanted to try to look different, but it
Nice.
didn't.
No. I like where your head's at. I like
I am where
Switch
I
it up.
am.
Switch it up for the people watching on the YouTubes.
Hold on. Ready?
Yes?
Done.
Awesome. Yeah,
It's mailbag
who
week.
is this handsome stranger that I am doing a podcast with?
Well, the thing about hats is I look so good in them.
Fair. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. What does
Oh my
that mean,
gosh,
Phil?
Andy, it's Friday.
Oh my god, Friday. What does that mean?
Mailbag.
Mailbag day. Yes.
What is it?
Yes, we have as per usual received some excellent questions this week. What should they do, Phil, if people are compelled to send in a question for, say, next week's mailbag?
Guys, we need questions. It's not that we don't have just a backlog of amazing questions, but we don't have a backlog of amazing questions and would love more questions. I get messages and IMs and comments and dings from people about the show, and then they'll ask me questions, and I'm like, dude, write it in an email. Get your life together. We need questions, not because people have them, and you always and clearly, by the way.
Yeah.
When you look at our views, at least on the YouTubes, I can't speak for iTunes. Clearly, our most popular feature so far has been mailbags.
Clearly.
And I don't know why that is, because they should like the things that I decide for them to like. But
Fair.
there's something gleeful and joyful about mailbags. I know that they're generally my favorite column to read when people write mailbags, so I get it. But people, if you want to see something succeed, you gotta pay the piper. You gotta feed the monkey.
Feeding the monkey, paying the piper here being defined as sending us questions. Send us questions.
Send us questions at secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com.
All one word.
All words. Secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. And if you chant it, we will definitely use it in next week's mailbag.
God will love you more. Okay.
And he talked to God.
We have 3 questions today, and at least 2 of them are interesting to me.
Nice. Okay. Well, fantastic. Question number 1. From good friend of the podcast, Kate. Hello, Kate.
One of our favorite people ever.
Indeed. So okay, a little background on this. When we asked for Christmas questions for a Christmas mailbag, which you should watch if you haven't already, because it's awesome, because everything we do is, she sent us this, and it was a good question. Not so much a Christmas question, so we're doing it now.
No, but a good question.
Yes. From Kate. So I recently discovered that my favorite Christmas movie, Mixed Nuts, is, in fact, not a good movie. This was only discovered after I required several colleagues to watch it in order to get in the Christmas spirit, and all of them reported back that the movie was terrible, borderline unwatchable.
She basically ruined people's Christmases.
Way to go, Grinchy McGrincherson. I watch it every year and adore it. So I guess my question is, how to deal with loving a movie that is objectively not good? Can you have such an emotional attachment to a film that it no longer matters that the film is terrible and you love it anyway? I suspect I feel the same way about Reality Bites, and possibly Harold and Maude, which is a thing that I don't like, but I'm willing to obviously say that most people I know, most people maybe in the world, love it. Even though I still refuse to accept that it's anything less than a brilliant film. I adore that movie, but would probably be horrified to learn, I believe she's talking about Reality Bites here, that most people don't even consider it a decent film. Frowny face.
Does she mean Mixed Nuts or Reality Bites or Harold and Maude there?
All or one. I don't know.
Just to be clear, we're not going to get into the Harold and Maude conversation because Andy and I will fight, but Harold and Maude has an 85% fresh meter on Rotten Tomatoes and a 92% audience meter, and has been selected for a Criterion Collection edition of both DVD and Blu-ray. At this point, it is not a question about whether or not Harold and Maude is considered a good film.
That's true.
Whether or not Andy has taste enough to like it is a different question. But let's stick with the idea, the Mixed Nuts question.
This is us not fighting, by the way. This is us not fighting.
You're right. I apologize. Can I say something? Can I say 2 things?
Please.
1.
Yeah.
3 things. I'm going to say 3 things. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. 3 things. 1. I apologize to you, Andy Roth.
Apology accepted before it was asked for. Number 2.
2, Kate. Not a brief question.
No. Tighten that up.
You get paid by the word, Kate? You get paid by the word?
Hey, Dickens. Wrap it up.
Not by us. Not by us. Then 3. Hey, Kate. How you doing? Miss you. That's all. I just love when she writes to us. Makes me happy. Phenomenal. I think this is a really good question. Yes. I think this is a really good question.
Agreed.
And I think the reason it's a good question, by the way, is no one will readily admit. Well, that's not true. People like me have a hard time readily admitting that there are movies that we like that aren't good.
Sure.
I will go out of my way to talk about how actually it is good and other people are idiots.
Yeah.
And so, Kate, you've addressed something else, Kate, which is that we've all seen movies we didn't like. But to acknowledge that a movie struck you in the heart in some way and then might actually have been bad, that's a really hard thing to admit.
Yes.
And not only that, but that you struck you in the heart in a particular way, but that other people just were like, no. And then it also requires that you go back and watch it as an adult. That's a tricky thing, because you can have a happy memory about something and then never see it again.
Yeah.
So this is a very good question, because it's kind of like it messes with your head.
I agree. Can I answer one part of the question first, real quick? Because I think it's an obvious thing. When you say, Kate, when you ask, can you have such an emotional attachment to a film that it no longer matters that the film is terrible and you love it anyway? Yes. 1,000 times yes, hon.
1,000 times yes.
Again.
I would go further. I would say your emotional attachment to the movie makes it a good film.
Yeah.
That if you feel something about, unless it's Love Actually, I just said that to be a jerk. A movie.
This is us not fighting.
Look. It's art, right? Or not. But I mean, the point is, the whole point of it is to do something to you.
Yeah.
And if it does, it does. Like, I was thinking about this. Like, I can't honestly say objectively if Secret of NIMH is actually a good film.
Right.
But
yes.
I wouldn't be able to ever answer that even if I saw it right now, because I would be too excited seeing every single moment of it.
Agreed. I have a movie like that, and it's one that you have made fun of me for in the past on this podcast. And I don't say this in a snippy way, but I don't care. I mean, you are entitled your opinion.
What movie is that? What movie is that, bud?
The Never-Ending Story.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's not an objectively great movie. It may or may not be an objectively good movie. I love that movie, there is not a frame of that movie that I would change, except for Artax in the Swamps of Sadness, because that's the saddest thing that has ever happened to me.
Why would you kill a horse? There was no reason to kill the horse.
It's just so sad.
It accomplishes nothing other than to make you miserable. Okay. Yes. So is that your answer to her question, or what is your answer to her question?
Well, the other ones, and I think this is fairly obvious, the Romero zombie movies. They are, many of those...
The third one is just...
The case can be made that that none of them are great movies objectively if you break them down. And the only one that is close is Dawn. But I don't care. They are brilliant. They created a genre. I love them, and I will not... it's not that I won't brook argument, but it's
I won't let you go! I won't let you go!
But, whatever. I love all of those movies, even maybe not Survival of the Dead, but they're all worthwhile. Every single one of them is worth seeing, even if and that is just my opinion. I mean, many people there are no zombie movies worth seeing, and I try to punch those people, but that is their opinion and it is valid, and it's more than just that sort of, to use Phil's term, hippy dippy, everyone deserves a medal thing.
Yeah.
But it's not just that it's their opinion. It's that as Phil, as you said, it strikes me in a certain way, and it doesn't matter how it strikes anybody else. Those movies speak to me on an astonishingly deep level, considering we're talking about reanimated corpses, and I love the metaphors that they're used for. I love the action that they have. I love the character work that, when the guy you don't want to get bitten gets bitten. I love them. And they are not objectively good movie. Yeah. So that's my answer.
Okay, number one movie that I grew up on that it turns out is a terrible film.
Tell me.
The live-action version of Popeye.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good. It's terrible. But you know what's funny is I haven't seen it as an adult. It's just that I heard it was terrible, and then I started thinking about every single memory I had of that movie, and I was like, oh, maybe it is a terrible movie. But if I could watch it tomorrow, I'd watch it.
Totally watch it tomorrow. Yeah.
Totes. I mean, Robin Williams as Popeye is genius.
Yes.
The octopus. There's so many things. But the guy who plays Brutus was born to play Brutus.
That is true.
Shelley Duvall was born to play Olive Oyl.
That is absolutely true.
Visually, I love this movie. Yes. I love it.
Yes.
In fact, the more I'm thinking about it, screw you, America. It's a great film. Do you see what happened, Kate? Do you see where you took me? Now I'm against the whole. Now I'm a traitor to my own country.
Way to go, Kate.
I have heard negative things about the movie Stripes. That the second half of the movie it falls apart. And I've heard that from a number of people, like critics and other people as well. I will never accept that movie is anything less than perfect, regardless. And I don't know if other people would like it who've never seen it before.
Agreed.
But Stripes is to me like so foundational. Turns out The Dark Crystal is not a good film.
It isn't, and that kills me.
This was the movie, Kate. This was the movie that was my entryway into what you really asked, because it was a movie that growing up I thought was amazing, and partially because it was the scariest thing I could fathom seeing as a child and still be able to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it entered into my Muppet land through this really dark, weird cavity. But it turns out that when you see it as an adult, it's not good.
It just doesn't hold together.
And that was a really hard thing to deal with.
It doesn't hold together. I think.
And finally.
Yeah, please.
Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I just think we should move on. But please, tell me finally. Tell me.
It's very possible that Spaceballs is not a good movie.
I have never loved it. I like it. I don't know why. I don't know what it is that doesn't kick it into the pantheon of Mel Brooks movies for me. But I've never completely
when
twigged.
You really look at Mel Brooks movies, his pantheon is much smaller than we recognize.
Yes.
It's probably, for me, 3 movies.
For me, it's The Producers, Young Frankenstein, and Blazing Saddles, and that's it.
That's it.
Agreed. I agree.
Weird.
And interestingly, a very good friend of mine and someone you've met, Mr. Michael Burke, doesn't even think The Producers should be in there. He saw it later in life and doesn't think it's as funny as the other.
I saw it later in life. I didn't see it till college.
I'm merely relaying.
If that's later in life, what's funny? Oh, later in life, college.
Right. He's our age. It's not like we're ready for the rest home. But so Kate, thank you for the question. That's a good question.
Can I say something about that?
Please.
I took my grandma around to visit rest homes, and I went to one, and they had a coffee hour at 3:00 in the afternoon. It was just a bunch of old people hanging out, and they were all well dressed, by the way.
Okay.
Eating cookies and drinking coffee and tea. Across the hall from that, they were playing. There was 2 tables set up that just had jigsaw puzzles going at all times.
Awesome.
And in that same room, they had board games and card games and magazine articles. And then they had a room down the hall, which was their movie theater. And then they had shuffleboard. And I was like, maybe I am ready for the rest home.
Right. You want to move in next week?
Like, I want to live there now. My grandma was like, I can't do this. And I was like, I can. Sign me up.
Awesome.
Next question. Thank you, Kate. What a good question. Not surprising.
No.
Ask more.
From my friend John. Hello, John.
Hi, John.
What movies should I see as part of my film education, for lack of a better word? I don't think you need to say that. I think that's a great word. That are important.
2 words. Film education.
Film education. Learning film. Okay. That are important, but also morally reprehensible. 2 examples, and of course you took the 2 best ones, John, you jerk. Birth of a Nation and Triumph of the Will. Very briefly, Birth of a Nation, directed by D.W. Griffith, revolutionary in terms of film language, like cutting away to something and zooming and like the way our brains interpret film. A lot of that language was literally established in this movie, but the KKK is the hero and black people are basically portrayed as monkeys. And there's no real way around either of those things. And Triumph of the Will is a documentary that is Nazi propaganda, but is a really well-shot movie.
I mean, really, though, have you actually seen Triumph of the Will?
I haven't, not all the way through. I've seen the lion's share of it.
I don't. I mean, I guess for me, part of the thing with this is like both of those movies. I don't ever care if I see them.
Fair. That's fair.
I was going to watch Birth of a Nation because it was on the AFI Top 100, and they updated it and put a different D.W. Griffith movie on it, which is not actually as revolutionary, but they're trying to be politically correct.
Intolerance is his, oh my God, what did I do? I need to make another movie as a response to Birth of a Nation.
Right.
Yes.
And here's the thing is I do at least respect, I don't know, this is where I don't feel like a movie geek is I don't really feel like I need to see anything that I don't want to see. So there's that. Yeah, so there's that. So what's your actual answer?
My actual answer is
because do you think anybody really needs to see those two movies?
I mean, if you truly want to have a complete film education in the most pretentious way possible, yes, I do think you need to see those two movies.
Okay.
But here's what I don't want to do with this question: get into a semantic argument about what a film education means, right?
Oh no, I don't want to get into.
You do. I'm saying that more for like this is for our viewers and listeners. Just like I don't think you are less of a person or less of a movie buff if you don't see these, but these are things that if you want to be completist, you should see. And my answer, I have two. Well, I have a bunch actually, but the two most important, the one that is closest to actually being morally iffy, is The Jazz Singer with Al Jolson.
Blackface.
Blackface. No way around it. He's a vaudeville performer. He performed in blackface. However, The Jazz Singer is the first full-length movie where not only like singing and music is coordinated, nice, but the speaking lines as well. It is
a talking picture.
A talking picture. So there's that. And that is, I mean, if you want to complete your film education, seeing the first talkie is probably pretty important. Also, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Short list of the most wonderful romantic comedies ever. Audrey Hepburn creates truly one of the great characters of all time in Holly Golightly. Mickey Rooney plays, I mean, I can't remember what it was like. It's amazing that every Asian country...
You need to stop stretching your eyes when you do this.
Nice. It is amazing that every Asian country didn't invade us when that movie came out, because his portrayal of an upstairs neighbor is so offensive. It is so offensive that it is almost impossible to watch.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good choice. Except, I mean, when I was thinking in morally reprehensible, that's a really good way to look at it, because you were actually thinking of characters, whereas I was trying to think of movies whose themes. So when you said that, I was like, how is Breakfast at Tiffany's morally like? I was trying to think of the themes, but you weren't. Right. You just meant that there's a character that's so disgustingly racist.
Indeed.
Have you seen Jazz Singer?
I have seen all but like one scene of it.
Oh, okay. Well, then you've seen it. Come on. I mean, you could have gone to the bathroom during that scene. You've seen the movie.
But yes.
Unless it was the end of the movie, then you're in trouble.
You're right. No, I have. He ends with the famous song "Mammy." So if I hadn't seen it, I kind of would have seen it anyway. Ugh. Right.
Okay.
Right.
I have not seen Jazz Singer, and I saw Breakfast at Tiffany's a long time ago.
Sure.
And whatever. Movies about flighty women. I dated a lot of those, and got crushed by a lot of those. So they don't make me. I don't like those movies. I'm sure I'd love to see it again, but when women are like, "Oh, Holly Golightly," I'm like, no, not so much.
Oh no, when women
wasn't actually a happy person. No. Pick a different hero. Pick a different hero.
Fair enough. Fair
enough. Do you know my pick, right?
I am not sure I do.
The Graduate.
Yes.
Graduate is a fully morally reprehensible movie on literally every level I can think of. It is it is the closest thing to nihilism that has ever been put on film that I've seen. That's ever been loved, I should say. That's ever been loved. Right. It's AFI called it the 17th greatest American movie of all time. It is a movie about basically. I mean, it is to me. If you had to try to crystallize what was wrong with the baby boomer generation, you could just show this movie, and I think you'd be fine.
Nice.
It is nihilism. It's. We talked yesterday or 2 days ago on our podcast about this movie called The Bounty, about this about what happens when someone a mutiny, like a mutiny occurs on a ship, and then afterwards they go, now what?
Yeah.
This movie is a kicking out against the generation before it
Yep.
with no sense of actual of whyness.
Right.
It's like a hatred of the generation that birthed the baby boomers without any sense of without any. It's not even hatred though. It's more just like an against them without any sense of real purpose or desire for moving on. It's like one big 2 hour long and it's well made and it's very important. And I started to watch it recently and I got interrupted from watching it, but as I was watching it, found out that it is a well made and entertaining film.
Yeah.
Whose message is to me just utterly depressing.
I think I don't want to say too much about The Graduate right now because I have my own ideas about it. I think viewers we may be doing a graduate centric podcast before too long.
Yeah.
But that's a very interesting take on it. That is a very interesting take on it.
Thank you.
I want to say one other thing as a lover, and I know you are not, as a lover of horror movies. I find a recent development in the genre morally reprehensible, and that is something that is called torture porn. And these are movies like Hostel.
I saw like 20 minutes of, and I don't know how I lasted that long, of Hostel Part 2.
Oh,
and it made me hurt.
Yes.
It made me feel terrible about humanity.
Yes. Human Centipede, a Serbian film, Turistas. Many people say 8mm with Nicolas Cage. I actually think that has some redeeming qualities. But basically, I'm defining torture porn as complete exploitation. The point is to watch people suffer. The Saw movies, the first one maybe doesn't qualify, but I'm not really in a generous mood. It is not a horror movie in the sense of it builds a sense of horror in you. It builds a sense of I can't believe someone is doing that to another human being, either because the suspension of disbelief is working and I'm involved in the movie, or I just can't believe they committed that to celluloid.
And I think the thing is about this whole genre is that there are movies and horror movies that play on the dehumanization of people, and dealing with how we their commentaries on the dehumanization.
Yes.
There's no commentary here.
Right.
The reason why the word torture porn is apt is, even though it makes me a little weird and squeamish, is that pornography's biggest problem is that it dehumanizes people. It turns, in the words of the dude from The Big Lebowski, he treats objects like women, man. It's an old. It objectifies humanity, and objectifying humanity for the purposes of sex, while being a very bad idea and doesn't work, at least it plays into some normal rational desire, even if it's or irrational. But this it plays into sort of our base. But to objectify and exploit just the torturing and killing of people is weird. Now, let's bring it back a second and ask a question. Are there any movies that might possibly fit into this genre of torture porn or that kind of thing, or could be considered that are actually necessary for a film education?
Okay. I mean, the easy answer is no. I might say The Exorcist, just because the stuff that they put that little girl through is horrifying, but it's just such an important horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd say anything else.
Okay.
Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Good question. Good question, and very now I'm a stomach churning digression.
Indeed. Last question from good friend of the podcast, Andrew.
What's up, Andrew?
Shouldn't take us long. How excited are you for Redbox Instant? Now, for those who don't know, Redbox is introducing a new service. It's in beta testing now. It's streaming plus 4 free DVDs per month from Redbox, and I think the idea is that it's going to be at a lower price point than Netflix. How excited are you for Redbox Instant?
Not.
I mean, honestly, Andrew and everyone, it's going to come down to the catalog. I'm not a
Yeah,
wealthy man, but I can pay for Netflix because they have everything that I want to watch. Do they have everything? They actually don't, but
they almost do.
they almost do. And I'm
There's a
not.
big problem with Netflix streaming. Netflix streaming
Yes,
has been, and if you are an Amazon Prime member, Amazon Prime Instant Video, I have used several occasions, and it has been stellar. In
yes,
fact, when we were watching The Graduate the other night, which I told you I got interrupted from watching,
right.
I tried to watch it on Netflix first, and it paused about 5 or 6 times in the first 2 minutes.
Interesting. Okay,
I switched over to Amazon Prime and had zero
no
problems.
problem.
And the same exact video and audio quality.
So
But
yeah,
Netflix has everything.
yeah.
And here's the thing is I'm fairly brand loyal.
Okay,
I am a fan of brand loyalty, and Redbox means nothing to me as a brand other than right outside of a McDonald's, which kind of grosses me out.
right. And
So
Netflix
I
is
actually
bringing you back
associate
Arrested
Redbox with
Development.
McDonald's. What's that?
And Netflix is bringing back Arrested Development for you. You know,
I appreciate Netflix as a product, and I'm willing to go out on a limb with them.
Yeah.
So I don't care about Redbox, but there
Yeah.
are a lot of people who are excited about it. I think Netflix has, by and large, proved itself to be a company that is trying. They mess up sometimes, and people get weird about it, and they get a little really flighty as a company trying to they don't have a good game face. Netflix,
it's true. That is true.
but I think that they are legitimately trying to be in tune with their consumers in a real way. And I think that Redbox may just be a pretender. But we'll see.
We'll see. Interesting. Competition in the space, never a bad thing.
But, right, and I'm a big fan of competition. I think I'm a big fan of the market system.
Yeah.
I think Amazon is still, to me, Amazon to me might be the greatest company alive. I think Amazon is.
I'm not prepared to disagree.
Their entrance into the instant video thing has been just stellar. But we would not be able to do Project Melway without Netflix.
That's true. Thank you, Netflix.
Yeah.
The world thanks you. The Gibsonian Institute thanks you.
We are doing the world a service. I want to make sure we're clear about that. The
Absolutely.
world's a better place because of us.
Oh, totally. That brings us to the end of this mailbag. Phil, well done. Job well done.
Thanks.
Kate, John, Andrew, thank you, as always. And please, as Phil started us out, please add to our catalog of awesome questions, secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. I'm Andrew Roth. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Like, what's your problem?
Deal? What's your deal? Dude who's looking
What's
at
your major
questions
malfunction?
and not emailing us. What's the deal? I'm Andy Roth. That's Phil Duvall. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yes.
We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.